The federal government is now cracking down on vaping companies. So this is weird. They sent warning letters to 13 manufacturers, distributors, and retailers of e-cigarette liquids. And they said that they're endangering kids by marketing the products to resemble juice boxes and cookies and candy. So for those of you who don't know, this happened as well with tobacco. This happened where they banned like strawberry flavored cigarettes and vanilla flavored cigarettes. They used to have those, but then they were banned because the argument from the federal government was, oh, you're just doing this to try to get kids hooked on smoking, so we're going to ban it because of that. Now, whether or not that was the intent, I don't know, but frankly, I don't care, because that's not only something that kids are interested in. You know, I used to be a smoker. I'm not a smoker anymore, thank goodness. Actually, e-cigarettes got me off of regular cigarettes. But I like the idea of having some sort of flavored tobacco, or having, in this case, flavored e-cigarettes. And, you know, this is one of those stories where I think I'm more libertarian than anything else. And remember, this is a Republican administration, and this Republican administration's FDA and FTC, I think, they're cracking down. They're supposed to be the small government people and say, hey, man, live and let live, you know, do what you want. We're the small government guys. But no, this is a very big government in the sense that they're sending warning letters saying, stop selling, you know, your sweet flavored e-liquids. Well, no, on this issue, I'm very libertarian, and I honestly don't even think that question is relevant. The question of whether or not this is getting kids hooked on it or not, or whether or not the intent was to get kids hooked on it or not. I think that they should be allowed to sell vanilla flavor, grape flavor, cookies and cream flavor, fucking cookie dough flavor. I don't give a shit. Cherry flavor. All that should be allowed, because if you want to live in a free country, and we can't take away things that adults partake in because kids exist and you want to save them from it. Because by that logic, you need to take away alcohol. You need to take away fucking porn. Should we really ban porn or ban alcohol? Because kids might stumble across it and kids might use it. And I know they would argue, well, no, this is geared specifically towards kids doing it. But that's all you need to find to disprove that notion is a decent number of people who are adults who like these flavored e-liquids. And they exist. So fuck off with your fucking... Because then that's also a slippery slope. Like, so menthol flavor was spared the wrath of, you know, when they cracked down on the candy-like cigarette flavors. Menthol cigarettes were spared. But, like, yeah, menthol is like a minty flavor. You could argue the same thing as you could argue with the other candy flavors, is like, that might attract kids. So why was menthol spared, but the other ones weren't? Like, just let them all have it. Let them all have it. And if you want to make rules and regulations as to what age you can be before you can start smoking e-cigarettes, fine. And if you want to enforce that, fine. That's fine. But don't ban it for adults because some bullshit argument about protecting kids or a gateway getting them hooked into. And another thing I've realized is they do a lot of fear-mongering, like, oh no, e-cigarettes are then going to make people smoke tobacco, regular cigarettes. And it's like they don't even bother to acknowledge the flip argument of that, which is what happened with me, which is I was a smoker, and then it was because of the e-cigarettes that I eventually quit smoking. So I'm sure there are people who've graduated from vaping to smoking actual cigarettes, and that's not good for that person's health because smoking is bad for them. But I don't think we should ban smoking as a result of that, and I don't think you can then ignore the flip argument, which is what happened with me, which is it actually helped me get off of cigarettes. So I think what you're seeing now is e-cigarettes and are being kind of unfairly demonized as being as bad for you as regular cigarettes, and there's this regulatory crackdown now, which is totally unmerited. And I think it probably has more to do with the fact that e-cigarette companies are not paying their bribes to Congress. If they were making these campaign contributions and they had politicians in their pocket, then there wouldn't be a crackdown. But they probably don't pay their bribes, and then there's a fucking crackdown on them. So, hands off the e-cigarettes, man. I get basic regulation, but stop cracking down on them and stop pretending like they're as bad as cigarettes. You could say, hey, there's not a lot of study on them. That's true, there's not. But the idea is cigarettes have, all these chemicals in the cigarette that are carcinogens. All the e-cigarettes have, it's vapor, and some of them don't even have nicotine, but others have nicotine. Nicotine is not the thing in cigarettes that is bad over time. That's not one of the carcinogens. So if you have too much nicotine, that's bad for you, but that's not one of the carcinogens. So even even under a worst case scenario, e-cigarettes are way healthier for you than regular cigarettes. But that's a truth that's not acknowledged because it's inconvenient for this panicked crackdown. So let them have their flavors. You want to regulate it, fine, but don't do these fucking bullshit. Like, what are you, the mafia? I'm gonna send you a letter that says you might want to change your mind about these flavors because there are children in the world, Like, what the fuck is this shit? That was a terrible accent, by the way. I usually do a better accent than that, but that was a bad accent. But let him be, man. Let him be. I think this is an unnecessary and unfair crackdown, and there's not enough credit given to e-cigarettes for cases like mine where it actually helped me quit.